Dear students, today we are going to study the topic dual nature of radiation and matter part 5. In the last class, that is in part 4 video, we have studied about particle nature of light. That is, we have discussed 6 important properties of photons. Then we have discussed about de Broglie hypothesis. So in that de Broglie hypothesis, we have derived the de Broglie wavelength equation for the material particle. After that, we have studied about de Broglie wavelength of an electron. In that, we have derived the expression for the de Broglie wavelength of an electron. So, in this class, we'll study the remaining concepts. Okay, now let us see what are all the concepts we are going to cover in this class. So, the concepts to be covered in this class are: first, we are going to study very important experiment, that is Davison and Germer experiment. And this experiment, it has proved that electron has wave nature. So we'll study about this experiment in detail. After that, we'll solve some of the numericals related to this topic. So like we are going to solve the numericals on photoelectric effect. Then we'll solve some of the numericals related to de Broglie hypothesis. Now let us start with the experiment, that is Davison and Germer experiment. Actually, the wave nature of the electron was first experimentally verified by C.J. Davison and L.H. Germer. They observed the diffraction effects when the electron beam is scattered by the nickel crystal. Means, when they allowed electron beam to strike the nickel crystal, so then what happens? We already know that nickel crystal, it contains n number of atoms. So these atoms, the atoms of the nickel crystal, they scattered the electron beam in all possible directions. So these two scientists, they observed diffraction phenomena. From that, they said that electron has wave nature. So now let us study the experiment in detail. So before going to start the experiment, first we'll study the construction part. So here, the apparatus, it consists of a tungsten filament F, and this is the tungsten filament F, and it is coated with the barium oxide. And now let us try to understand the use of this tungsten filament. Here, the tungsten filament is used to generate the large number of electrons when it is heated with the help of low voltage battery on the bottom as shown in the figure. And this tungsten filament is connected to the negative potential of the high voltage battery on the top side as shown in the figure. So it acts as a cathode. So this tungsten filament, it acts as a cathode. Why it is called as the cathode? Because the electrons are emitted from it, so it behaves as a cathode. Now here, LT is the low voltage battery, and that helps to liberate the electrons from the tungsten filament. Then here, A is the metallic cylinder having a small hole along its axis, and it is kept at positive potential of the battery through the rheostat, and it acts as a anode. Why here it is called as anode? Because whatever the electrons, whatever the electrons are ejected from this filament F, they are collected towards this metallic cylinder. So this metallic cylinder, it acts as a anode. So here cathode and anode, they form an electron gun, and from which a fine beam of electrons that can be obtained under different accelerating potentials applied between cathode and anode. Then here, as I mentioned, HT is the high voltage battery, and that helps to accelerate the emitted electrons further. And now here nickel crystal is used, and that is used to scatter the electrons in all directions. Means when the emitted electrons hit the nickel crystal, so we already know that this nickel crystal, it contains n number of atoms, and those atoms, they will scatter the electrons in different directions. Here movable collector is used, and it acts like a electron detector, and which is used to measure the intensity of scattered electron beam. Here this movable collector, that can be rotated on the circular scale to measure the intensity of electron beam at different angles. Further, this movable collector, or we can call that one as detector, which is connected to a sensitive galvanometer. So this is a galvanometer, and that galvanometer records the current in the circuit. And here the experimental setup is covered in an vacuum chamber. So why it is covered in an vacuum chamber? Because to avoid the collisions of the electrons with the other molecules on their way towards the target. So this is the explanation about construction part of the experiment. Now let us try to understand the working of the experiment. So here, when a fine beam of accelerated electrons that has obtained from electron gun, that is made to fall normally or perpendicular to the surface of the nickel crystal, then with the help of the movable collector or detector, we can determine the intensity of the scattered electron beam. And here the detector, so that is rotated to further positions, to different positions, the circular scale, so that we can measure the intensity of scattered electron beam for different values of scattering angle. So here the scattering angle means that is the angle between incident beam and scattered beam, and that scattering angle is denoted by letter theta. Then this experiment is repeated by changing the accelerating voltage from 44 volts to 68 volts. Means, so here we have to increase the potential gradually with the help of high voltage battery from 44 volts to 68 volts. Then we have to record the intensity values of scattered electron beam with respect to corresponding different scattering angles. Then later it was found that at the voltage of 54 volts and at the scattering angle of 50 degree, the intensity of the scattered electron beam becomes maximum. So once again I will repeat, voltage of V equals 54 volts and at the scattering angle of theta equals 50 degree, the intensity of scattered electron beam becomes maximum, and this can be represented by the graph, and that I will show the next slide. So these are the graphical representations for intensity of scattered electron beam at different potentials or voltages with respect to different scattering angles. So here these four graphs, they represent the intensities of scattered electron beams at different voltages like 44 volts, 48 volts, 54 volts and 60 volts. So out of these four graphs, if we carefully observe the third graph, here the graph is plotted for voltage of 54 volts with respect to the scattering angle of theta equals 50 degree. So here if you observe the graph, the maximum intensity of the scattered electron beam is represented by a sharp peak, and that is due to the constructive interference of electrons scattered from different layers of regularly spaced atoms of the nickel crystal. So in this experiment, diffraction phenomena has observed, so that confirms the wave nature of a moving electron, means the electron has a wave nature. So from the electron diffraction measurements, the wavelength of the wave associated with the electron beam, that was found to be 1.65 angstrom. But according to the de Broglie hypothesis, the wavelength of the wave associated with the electron is given by, that is, we already know the formula. So in the last class we have derived this formula, that is lambda equals 12.27 divided by under square root of V, where V is called applied potential. So that equals 12.27 divided by square root of 54. So here 54 volt is the applied potential. That equals, we'll get 1.66 angstrom. So here, so if we compare these two values, the experimental values and theoretical values are almost same. So this proves that a moving electron, it has wave nature. So this is the complete details about the Davison and Germer experiment. So this completes the topic. So in the next slide, we will solve some of the examples related to this topic. Okay, before going to solve the numericals on this topic, let us glance at the formulae used. So the formulae used in this topic are the formula for work function, so that is to find the work function of any metal. So the formula used for that is pi naught equals h nu naught equals h into c by lambda naught. So here nu naught can be written as c by lambda naught. So this is the formula for work function. Now let us see the second formula. To find the kinetic energy of emitted photoelectrons, that can be calculated by Kmax equals E into V naught. So where V naught is the stopping potential. So kinetic energy of photoelectrons in terms of stopping potential. So that can be calculated using the formula E into V naught. Now let us see the third formula. Kinetic energy of photoelectrons in terms of frequency, that can be calculated by using the formula Kmax equals 1 by 2 mv square, that equals h nu minus h nu naught. Further, this formula can be written as Kmax equals h nu minus pi naught. So here h nu naught can be written as pi naught. Now let us see the fourth formula, that is to find the de Broglie wavelength of a moving material particle. So that can be calculated by the formula lambda equals h by mv, where h is the Planck's constant m is the mass of the particle and v is the velocity of the particle. Now let us see the formula for de Broglie wavelength of an electron, that is lambda equals 12.27 divided by square root of V angstrom, where V is the applied potential. So this is the formula for de Broglie wavelength of an electron. Now let us see values of some of the constants. The first constant is that Planck's constant, that is represented by letter H, and its value is 6.6 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule second. The second constant is E, that is charge of the electron, and its value is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. Third constant is, the value of one electron is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 joules. And fourth constant Me, that is mass of the electron. So its value is 9.10 raised to minus 31 kg. And now let us see the value of speed of the light, that is C. C equals 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So before we to solve the examples, so we should know these formulae and values of these constants. So in the next slide, we will solve the numericals. Now let us solve the first example. The example is like this. Work function of sodium is 2.3 electron volt. Does sodium show photoelectric emission for orange light? So here they are given the datas, that is lambda, that is the wavelength of the orange light. So that is lambda equals 6800 angstrom. And also they have given the Planck's constant, that is H equals 6.6 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule second. So here you have to understand the question. So they have given the work function of the sodium, so that is 2.3 electron volt. So here it means that the amount of energy, that is 2.3 electron volt energy, is required to eject the electrons from sodium metal. And then question has continued like, does sodium show photoelectric emission for the orange light having the wavelength 6800 angstrom? So this is the question. So now let us solve the example. So first let us write the given datas. So what they have given? They have given the work function of the sodium, that is pi naught equals 2.3 electron volt, and also they have given wavelength of the orange light, that is lambda equals 6800 angstrom. That equals, in terms of angstrom, we can write 10 raised to minus 10 meter. So that is 6800 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter. So here to check whether the sodium show the photoelectric emission or not, first we have to find the energy of the photon of the orange light. So to find the energy of the photon of the orange light, so we have to use the formula, that is E equals h nu, and that can be written as h into c by lambda. So in place of nu we can write c by lambda. Now let us substitute the values in this formula. So here h equals 6.63 into 10 raised to minus 34 into, in place of c we can write 3 into 10 raised to 8 divided by, in place of lambda we can write 6800 into 10 raised to minus 10. Now if we simplify this one, so the answer will be in terms of joule. So but in the question the work function of the sodium is given in terms of electron volt. So we have to convert the answer in terms of electron volt. So to convert the answer in terms of electron volt, we have to divide by 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 electron volt. That means 1 joule equals 1 divided by 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 electron volt. So I will write these terms as it is into 1 divided by 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19. The answer will be in terms of electron volt. So if you simplify this one, you will get the answer as 1.83 electron volt. And here, if you compare the answer, the energy of the photon of the orange light, that is 1.83 electron volt. But the work function of the source is how much? 2.3 electron volt is there. So here, this energy of the photon of the orange light, which is less than the work function of the sodium. Therefore, the energy of the incident photon of orange light is less than the work function for sodium. So, photoelectric emission from the sodium cannot take place with orange light. Now, let us see the next example. So, the example is like this. The work function for a metal is 1.8 electron volt. A light of 5000 angstrom is incident on it. So, calculate. There are 4 sub questions. First one is calculate threshold frequency and threshold wavelength. Second sub question is calculate maximum kinetic energy of emitted electrons. And third sub question is maximum velocity of the emitted electrons we have to find. Then fourth sub question is that if the intensity of the incident light is doubled, then what will be the maximum kinetic energy of emitted electrons? Now let us see the answer. First, let us write the given datas. So Planck's constant H value is 6.6 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule second, and mass of the electron is 9.11 into 10 raised to minus 31 kg, and speed of the light is c equals 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So these are the known constant terms, and in the question they have given work function of the metal, that is pi naught equals 1.8 electron volt. Now let us convert this work function in terms of joule. So to convert in terms of joule, we have to multiply the value with the 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19. So the answer will be 2.88 into 10 raised to minus 19 joule. And in the question they have given wavelength, that is 5000 angstrom. So if you write in terms of meter, the answer will be 5000 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter. Now let us solve the first sub question, that is threshold frequency and threshold wavelength. So to find the threshold frequency, the formula is nu naught equals pi naught divided by h. So we already know the formula for work function, that is pi naught equals h into nu naught. So if we rearrange the terms, so formula for threshold frequency will be nu naught equals pi naught by h. Now let us substitute the values in this formula. So pi naught value is 2.88 into 10 raised to minus 19 divided by 6.6 into 10 raised to minus 34. Now if we simplify this one, we'll get the answer as 0.436 into 10 raised to 50 Hz. So this is the threshold frequency. Now let us see the threshold wavelength. The formula for threshold wavelength is lambda naught equals c by nu naught. Now let us substitute the values. So S value is 3 into 10 raised to 8 divided by nu naught value is 0.436 into 10 raised to 15. Now if we simplify, we'll get the answer as 6.880 into 10 raised to minus 7 meter. So this is the threshold wavelength. Now let us solve the second sub question, that is maximum kinetic energy of emitted electrons. So to find the maximum kinetic energy of emitted electrons, so we have to make use of Einstein's photoelectric equation. So with the help of Einstein's photoelectric equation, so the formula for maximum kinetic energy is that Kmax equals h into c divided by lambda minus pi naught. So now let us substitute the values. H value is Planck's constant, that is 6.6 into 10 raised to minus 34 into c value is 3 into 10 raised to 8 divided by lambda value, that is 5000 into 10 raised to minus 10 minus pi naught value is 2.88 into 10 raised to minus 19. Now if we simplify this one, so we'll get the answer as 1.08 into 10 raised to minus 19 joules. So this is the maximum kinetic energy of emitted photoelectrons. Now let us solve the third sub question. So that is, we have to find the maximum velocity of emitted electrons. So that can be calculated with the help of formula. So if you take the common formula for kinetic energy, that is Kmax equals 1 by 2 mVmax square. So with the help of this formula, so if you rearrange the terms, so you can get the formula for maximum velocity, that is Vmax equals under the square root of 2 Kmax divided by square root of m. Now let us substitute the values. So under the square root of 2 into Kmax value, already we determined that one, that is 1.08 into 10 raised to minus 19 divided by square root of m value is mass of the electron is 9 into 10 raised to minus 31. Now if we simplify this one, we'll get the answer as 4.9 into 10 raised to 5 meter per second. So this is the maximum velocity of emitted electrons. Now let us see the fourth sub question, that is, so what they have asked, if the intensity of the incident light is doubled, then what will be the maximum kinetic energy of emitted electrons? So the kinetic energy of emitted electron that does not depend upon the intensity of the incident light. So maximum kinetic energy of emitted electrons remains unchanged. Now let us solve an example on de Broglie wavelength of an electron. So the example is like this. What is the de Broglie wavelength associated with an electron accelerated through a potential difference of 100 volts? So in the question, they have asked the value of lambda and they have given the value of potential difference. They have given the value of voltage, that is 100 volts. Now let us solve the example. So here the given data are the potential difference, that is voltage V equals 100 volts, and we have to find the de Broglie wavelength, that is lambda equals how much. So de Broglie wavelength of an electron, that can be calculated by the formula lambda equals 12.27 divided by square root of V angstrom. So now let us substitute the values. So lambda equals 12.27 divided by square root of V value is 100 angstrom. Now if we simplify this one, we'll get the answer as 1.227 angstrom. So this is the de Broglie wavelength associated with an electron when it has accelerated through a potential difference of 100 volts. So this completes the topic dual nature of radiation and matter. So let us have a quick review on this topic. So in the starting, in the introductory part, we have discussed about light has dual nature. Sometimes it will behave as a particle and sometimes it will behave as a wave. So the phenomena like reflection, refraction, so they proved that light has particle nature. and the phenomena like polarization, interference, diffraction. So they established that light has wave nature. So that is the duality of light. So after that we discussed about free electrons in metals, and in that we have studied about definition of work function and on what factors the work function depends. So all those things we studied. After that we discussed about electron emission and their types. So there are mainly four types of electron emissions. They are thermionic emission, photoelectric emission, field emission, and last one is secondary emission. After that we have discussed about Hertz observation. Then we studied about Hallward and Lenard's observation. So after that we studied about experimental study of photoelectric effect. So we have discussed a circuit diagram and we have studied construction and working in detail. Then we have discussed about study of variation of photoelectric current with four factors. First one is with the intensity of incident radiation, and second one is with the potential difference between the plates cathode and anode. Then third factor is that with the frequency of the incident radiation, and last factor is with the nature of the material of the plate C. After that we have discussed about laws of photoelectric emission. Then we have discussed about Einstein's photoelectric equation. So after that we have studied about relation between top potential frequency of incident photon and threshold frequency. Then we have discussed some of the important reasons, and they have failed to explain the some of the reasons. So they have failed to explain the photoelectric effect. That is why the photoelectric effect cannot be explained on the basis of wave theory of light. So we have discussed some of the reasons for that. Then we studied about photoelectric cell and their applications. After that we have seen some important properties of photons. Then we discussed about de Broglie hypothesis. In that we have derived the expression for de Broglie wavelength of a material particle, and also we have proved we have derived the expression for de Broglie wavelength of an electron. And finally we have studied Davison and Germer experiment. Then we have solved some of the important examples. So these are all the concepts we have studied in this topic. So once again I am requesting you to go through all the videos related to this topic and study well. Thanks for watching.